Ever wished you could just, I don't know, will something to happen, like, channel some kind of unseen force to bring a little more love your way, or maybe some protection, or even like a little extra cash wouldn't hurt.
Right. Who couldn't use a little of that?
Exactly. Well, today we're diving into the world of modern witchcraft.
We're going to be exploring how some people do just that. Make things happen. All through spells and enchantments.
Our guide for this deep dive is Laurie Cabot.
The official witch of Salem, no less.
That's right. We're looking at her book, Laurie Cabot's Book of Spells and Enchantments. Now, before we get too far, I think we should probably define what we're talking about here. What is a spell in this context?
It's fascinating, actually. Cabot takes this idea of magic, something we usually associate with fairy tales and make-believe, and she makes it, well, practical, applicable to everyday life.
Okay, but how? How did that actually work?
So she describes spells as a way to focus your intention, like setting a really clear goal and then using your own energy amplified by specific tools and rituals, of course, to bring it to life.
So it's like harnessing the power of your subconscious, but with, a little more dot spice.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a little practical magic, you could say.
I like that. Now, Cabot's book, it's full of spells for, well, pretty much anything you could desire. Love, protection, success, things most of us are thinking about all the time anyway, right?
Right. And it's interesting, isn't it? It's like she's tapped into these universal desires we all share. And she's saying, hey, here's a way you might be able to influence those things in your life.
That's actually a pretty empowering concept when you think about it. Instead of just wishing on a star, you're actively trying to shape your reality.
Exactly. Recognizing that you have this power, we all do, to some extent, to influence events in our lives, and then using certain tools and techniques to focus that power towards a desired outcome.
It's kind of like manifestation, but with a system. So what kind of tools are we talking about here? What does a modern witch use to channel these energies?
Well, you've got your classics, of course, things like herbs and crystals.
Herbs and crystals? Okay.
Think of them kind of like ingredients in a recipe, but for magic,
Okay, I like where this is going.
So, for example, she talks about using anise seed.
Anise seed, like the spice.
That's the one. Apparently, it's good for restful sleep, but also for attracting love. Versatile little seeds.
That's amazing. 2 birds, 1 stone. Love it.
Exactly. And then, for protection, she mentions black walnut. See, it even ties it back to the Knights of the Round Table.
Gives a whole new meaning to chivalry, doesn't it?
It does. And there's calendula, too, which she links to both love and psychic energy. Connects it all the way back to the witch goddess.
Wow, so each herb has its own, unique energy and purpose.
Right, and it's not just about their, literal properties. It's about tapping into their symbolism, the way they've been used in magical traditions for centuries. Crystals are the same way.
Oh, right. The crystals. What about them?
Cabot describes them as amplifiers for your intentions.
Amplifiers. Interesting.
So for courage and clarity, you might use amethyst. For prosperity and sleep, that's always a good one, right? Citrine. You might even remember that story about Cabot's daughter manifesting a Rolex.
Oh, right. That was a wild one.
Yeah, well, that involved a money-drawing spell using a birch or willow root talisman.
It's amazing how those tangible results, like a Rolex appearing, really make you think, what could I do with this? Like, what kind of crystal would I pick for my own desires?
Exactly. That's the whole point. These tools, these tangible objects, they help you focus your intention, connect you to those unseen forces that Cabot's always talking about. It's a blend of the practical and the mystical.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it so intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you've got your tools, you've set your intention, you've got your crystals charging. Where does the actual magic part happen?
This is where casting a circle comes in.
Casting a circle.
Imagine you're creating a sacred space within your own home, a space that's, separate from the everyday, from the mundane, dedicated to this magical work. Cabot describes it as calling upon the dragons of the north, east, south, and west, defining these boundaries, sometimes using a wand or even a sword to kind of amp up the process.
Wow, dragons, wands, swords, this is getting pretty intense.
It's about creating a container, you see, for all that energy you're working with.
So it's like drawing a line in the sand, energetically speaking, to say, okay, this is where the magic happens.
Exactly. It's about creating a space that's set apart, dedicated to something bigger.
Which makes me think of those rituals you see in other cultures, creating that sacred space, like a sweat lodge or a medicine wheel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's within that circle, within that sacred space, that you can really focus your energy, connect with those unseen forces. Now, Cabot's book, it's packed with spells for all sorts of desires.
Oh, I bet.
But And this is important, she emphasizes that it's not about manipulating others or trying to like force outcomes. It's about aligning yourself, aligning your energy with the flow of things, working with it, not against it.
It's like that old saying, be careful what you wish for, but, with a magical twist.
Exactly. Intention is everything.
Speaking of intentions, can we talk about some of those spells? What kind of things can people, actually do with this?
Of course. Are you interested in protection magic? That tends to be a popular one.
Protection magic, yeah. That's always super interesting to me. Like, who couldn't use a little more protection in their lives?
Right. Exactly. And Cabot offers some unique approaches, to say the least. One that really stands out is called the white light shield.
White light shield.
Essentially, imagine surrounding yourself, your loved ones, your
Yeah.
home, with this radiant shield of protective energy.
It's like an invisible force field.
Exactly.
But anyone can learn to do this.
That's the amazing part.
Mm.
It all relies on visualization, which is a technique that honestly anyone can learn and practice. You're tapping into the power of your own mind to create this sense of safety, of well-being. Pretty powerful stuff when you think about it.
It really is. And for those who want a little, I don't know, extra oomph in their protection, something a little more, shall we say, intense.
Well, there's always the Excalibur protection spell.
Okay, now that sounds serious. Excalibur, like King Arthur's sword.
That's the one. This one uses a crow feather. A blade doesn't have to be Excalibur, mind you, and a powerful invocation to, well, basically banish negative energies.
I can just picture someone standing there, crow feather in one hand, a thame in the other, chanting away. Intense.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Okay, so we've got protection covered. What about, everyone's other favorite topic, love?
Love. Yes, of course.
Seems to be right up there with, winning the lottery as far as universal desires go.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Cabot, to her credit, she approaches love magic with a lot of sensitivity.
Oh, good.
She's very clear that it's unethical to try to manipulate someone's feelings or to, force them to love you.
Good. Because that never ends well, does it?
Right. So instead, she offers these spells that are more about helping you attract love into your life naturally.
So less about bending someone to your will and more about, I don't know, opening yourself up to the possibility of love.
Exactly. It's about creating the right conditions for love to blossom, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, she has this whole thing about carrying a love filter, but it's not what you think.
Oh. Not a love potion you sneak into someone's drink.
No, nothing like that. This is more about enhancing your own love energy,
Yeah.
drawing a compatible partner to you. It's a blend of herbs and oils, rose petals, patchouli, musk oil, things that, well, first of all, smell divine, and secondly, are meant to kind of subtly shift your aura.
So it's like wearing a perfume that attracts love instead of compliments. Although I bet it smells fantastic too.
Yeah.
Are there any other love spells in there that really stand out?
If you're drawn to the moon, and who isn't, right?
Yeah.
There's a moonlight love spell.
Ooh, moonlight. That sounds romantic already.
It involves charging water in the moonlight and then using that water to kind of send your wish, your heartfelt wish for love, out into the universe.
Very romantic. I like it. Okay, let's move on to another big one. Success. Who couldn't use a little boost in that department, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone wants a little more success.
Exactly. So how does Cabot approach that?
Well, remember that story we talked about her daughter manifesting that Rolex?
Oh, right. The Rolex. That was a good one.
That came from using one of Cabot's spells for prosperity and success.
Yeah.
She's got a whole section dedicated to it in the book.
Really? A
Yep.
whole section. Okay, so what was it again? The money drawing spell, right? The one with the talisman?
Yes, that's the one, the money drawing spell. And it involves crafting a talisman from either birch or willow root.
Birch or willow. Is there something specific about those types of wood? Magic?
Well, both birch and willow, they have a long history of being associated with abundance and prosperity in lots of different cultures. Birch, for example, is often seen as a symbol of new beginnings, of growth, while willow is more connected to intuition and the flow of, well, abundance.
So by using those woods, you're sort of aligning yourself with those energies. You're inviting them into your life.
Exactly, like choosing the right ingredients for a recipe.
Yeah.
You're setting your intention and trusting the process.
When you think about it, so much of this has parallels in other areas of life, doesn't it? Setting intentions, taking action, trusting the process. It's just that here we're adding a little extra, I don't know, magic to the mix.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Cabot is very clear that it's not just about casting spells and, waiting for the magic to happen. It's about cultivating awareness in your everyday life. It's about, infusing everything you do with intention and purpose.
So it's like a way of life, not just a set of spells you do every now and then.
Right. And one of the things she talks about, which I find really fascinating, is this idea of home magic. But it's not like, making your furniture disappear.
Although that would be handy sometimes, wouldn't it? Honey, where'd the couch go? Oh, I decided to do a little home magic this morning.
Uh-huh. Right. No, she's talking about creating a sanctuary, a space that's cleansed of negativity, infused with positive energy.
I love that. So it's less about like magic tricks and more about creating a home environment that reflects, I don't know, your own inner peace and harmony.
Exactly. And she even suggests cleansing your furniture, especially antiques, which tend to hold onto energy more to clear out any lingering vibes.
I can see how that would make a difference, especially if you're drawn to vintage finds and, you don't always know the history of the pieces you're bringing into your home.
Exactly. And you know what else is interesting? She talks about food magic.
Food magic. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
She suggests that the very act of cooking, of preparing food, can be a magical act in and of itself.
Wait, really? So, like, even something as simple as baking a loaf of bread can be infused with magic.
Absolutely. It's all about the intention, the energy you bring to it. She talks about putting love into the food you prepare, nourishing not just your body, but also your spirit.
That's beautiful. So, even something as everyday as cooking can be a spiritual practice.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the sacred in the mundane. And speaking of the sacred, Cabot also talks about connecting with deities, gods and goddesses from various pantheons.
Okay, this is where things always get really interesting for me. How does she approach working with deities?
Well, it's not about commanding these powerful beings or treating them like, magical vending machines. She stresses respect, reverence, and reciprocity.
So, it's more about creating a partnership than asking for favors.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the wisdom and guidance these deities can offer. She even talks about using your altar to create a dedicated space for connecting with specific gods and goddesses, almost like a sacred shrine.
I love that idea, like having a direct line to the divine, seeking their wisdom and support. Now, there's one more area I want to touch on before we wrap up this part of our deep dive. Psychic development. It's a topic that always piques my curiosity.
Ah, yes. This is where Cabot delves into practices that go beyond traditional spellcasting. Things like developing your intuition, connecting with spirit guides, even exploring past lives.
So it's not just about reading tarot cards or gazing into crystal balls, although I have to admit, those things have always intrigued me.
While those tools can be helpful, Cabot emphasizes that true psychic development comes from within. It's about tapping into your own innate abilities, which, by the way, everyone possesses to some degree. It's like that saying, we all have a little magic in us. But it takes practice, intention, to really tap into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of practice, one thing I found super interesting about Cabot's book is how she connects her craft to like the natural world. It's not just about mixing potions in your basement, right? It's about aligning yourself with the rhythms of nature.
Oh, absolutely. She's a big believer in celebrating the 8 Sabbats.
The 8 Sabbats.
Right, the Wiccan holidays. They mark these key points in something called the Wheel of the Year.
The Wheel of the Year, okay.
Think of it like a calendar for witches. Each Sabbath, it's a unique opportunity to connect with the Earth's energy in a specific way.
Okay, I'm into it. So for those of us who might need a little refresher course on our Wiccan holidays, walk us through this Wheel of the Year. Where do we start? What's our first stop on this magical journey?
Well, we begin with Samhain, of course, October 31st.
Samhain. Okay, so we're talking spooky season.
Yes, but with, a deeper meaning. It's the witch's new year. It's a time when, according to tradition, the veil between the worlds is at its thinnest.
Ooh, spooky.
It's seen as an easier time to communicate with spirits, to honor loved ones who've passed
And
on.
it's like a cosmic open house for the spirit world. I bet that's a powerful time for, like, ancestor work then.
Exactly. And Cabot actually provides a specific spell in the book for honoring your ancestors during Samhain. Plus, she includes a recipe for, get this, Samhain oil, supposed to enhance your connection to the spirit world.
Okay, Samhain oil. I'm definitely going to need that recipe. So after Samhain, what's next?
We move into Yule, celebrated on or around December 21st.
December 21st. So that coincides with the winter solstice then.
Exactly. Shortest day of the year, right? So it marks this turning point, this symbolic rebirth of the sun.
So it's a time for celebrating the return of light after a period of darkness, both literally and, I'm guessing, metaphorically.
Precisely. And Cabot provides spells for bringing, warmth and light into your life during this time, which can be perfect if you're someone who, struggles a bit during those short winter days. She even includes a recipe for Yule oil to kind of amp up your celebrations.
Yule oil. Okay, I'm loving these witchy oil blends. What happens after Yule?
Next up is Imbolc, celebrated on February 2nd.
February 2nd. Okay, so if you're anything like me, by February, you're probably feeling a little sluggish after the holidays, ready for a fresh start. What's the vibe for Imbolc?
It's all about purification and renewal, both physically and spiritually.
It's like hitting the reset button after the indulgence of the holidays, right? A chance to cleanse your space, set some intentions for a new cycle. Spring cleaning, but make it magical.
Exactly. And naturally, Cabot provides some spells for cleansing and purification during Imbolcus. Plus a recipe for, you guessed it, Imbolca oil.
Of course, there has to be an oil for every occasion. Okay, so we've cleansed, we've purified, now what?
Now it's time for Ostara, the spring equinox. We're talking around March 21st.
March 21st. Spring has officially sprung, the birds are singing, the flowers are blooming, and I'm assuming there's a palpable feeling of new beginnings in the air.
Right, 100%. Ostara is all about new beginnings, growth, fertility.
Okay, so what kind of spells do we have for Astara?
Think abundance. Growth. She even has a recipe for Ostara oil to enhance your garden.
Okay, I need to get my hands on this book just for the oil recipes alone. Seriously. So we're moving through spring. What's next?
You're ready to let loose, because next up is Beltane, celebrated on May 1st.
May 1st, May pole dancing.
You got it. This Sabbath, it's all about love, passion, the earth's fertility. We're talking bonfires, celebrating life's, well, let's just say, sensual pleasures.
It's like giving yourself permission to embrace joy, connection, maybe even a little mischief, right? What's Cabot's take on Beltane?
Oh, she's all for it. She provides love spells, fertility spells, and of course, a recipe for Beltane oil to enhance your celebrations.
Naturally. Okay, what comes after Beltane? Hit me with the next Sabbath.
Next is Letha, celebrated on or around June 21st.
June 21st, the summer solstice, the longest day of the year.
Exactly. It's the peak of the sun's power.
Time to soak up all that sunshine and celebrate the warmth and abundance of summer.
You've got it. And Cabot has spells for harnessing the sun's power, along with, you guessed it, a recipe for Letha oil.
I knew it! I should have seen that one coming. Okay, we're on a roll here. 2 more Sabbats to go. What's next?
We're moving into harvest season with Lughnasadh, celebrated on August 1st.
August 1st, Lughnasadh. This sounds like a time for giving thanks for all the good stuff in your life, both literal and metaphorical, right?
Yeah.
Acknowledging that abundance.
Exactly. It's a time for gratitude, for acknowledging the fruits of your labor, and for appreciating the bounty of the earth. It's almost like a pre-Thanksgiving feast.
Yes, I love that. So lots of gratitude spells for Lughnasadh, I'm assuming.
You know it. She also provides a recipe for Lughnasadh oil to, enhance your celebrations.
Okay, last but not least, what's the final stop on the wheel of the year before we circle back to Samhain?
We come full circle with Mabon, celebrated on or around September 21st.
September 21st, the autumn equinox. That time of year when the days and nights are equal, a time for, finding balance, maybe reflecting on the year gone by.
You got it. It's about giving thanks for what you've harvested again, both literally and metaphorically, and for releasing what no longer serves you as you move into the waning part of the year.
It's a time of transitions, letting go.
Exactly. And of course, Cabot provides spells for balance and harmony, along with, can you guess?
Mabon oil.
You got it.
I knew it. I can't believe we made it all the way around the wheel of the year. It's amazing how each of these Sabbats, it offers this unique opportunity to connect with nature's rhythms, to deepen your own, magical practice, even if you don't consider yourself a witch.
Absolutely. It's about tapping into those ancient energies, those cycles of growth and decay, and recognizing that we're a part of something so much bigger than ourselves.
It's like having a roadmap for living in harmony with the earth, with its cycles, which I think is something we could all use a little more of these days.
I agree.
Well, this deep dive into Laurie Cabot's world has been, to say the least, eye-opening. We've explored the tools, the rituals, the ethics, even the philosophy behind modern witchcraft. And I think what we've discovered is that it's not just about, hocus pocus or supernatural feats. It's about tapping into your own innate power, connecting with the natural world, and taking responsibility for shaping your own reality, which honestly is pretty empowering when you think about it.
It is, and I think what I take away from Cabot's work more than anything is that magic, it's not this separate thing, this supernatural force reserved for a select few. It's a force that flows through all of life. It's in the everyday moments, waiting to be acknowledged, to be harnessed, to be celebrated.
Beautifully said. And with that thought in mind, as you go about your day, dear listeners, keep your eyes peeled for those little sparks of magic, those moments of synchronicity, those whispers of intuition. You never know, you might just surprise yourself with what you can create. Until next time, happy spellcasting.